Hello friends, thank you for joining me for this card video. This one is from my first Christmas card class, and this is the Poinsettia and Pinecones card. And in your kit you will have a card base that I have already scored for you because you weren't going to be folding it directly in half, so I thought, oh, I'm going to make it easy for you and show you where the score is on that. You also have a piece of embossed, and this is the heavyweight Very Vanilla cardstock. I like that for a card base. And then embossed a piece of the regular weight of Very Vanilla cardstock, and I embossed this with the Subtles 3D embossing folder. So pretty, I love that one. It just sometimes when you make a card and you just think, oh, it just needs a little something, think about taking the same card base color and just embossing it to add on top and making it a little bit smaller, you know, to create that extra layer. But it just, sometimes that's all a card needs, is just to do some embossing. So that's a little tip for you. Then you have a piece of designer series paper and red cardstock. You have a poinsettia flower that I die cut with the stitched circles dies, and then a punched piece of soft suede cardstock. These beautiful little, what are they called? The little pearl center pieces. I don't have the little box here in front of me, but I'll show it to you in the catalog. That's going to go in the center of your poinsettia just to make it really super pretty. Then you have your top and bottom layers of 2 different sized pine cones, a red bow, and you might have a word stamp or a word strip from that larger sheet of words that I sent in your kit. So I had one that's going to work for me. Hopefully you have one that's going to work, or if you have a stamp that you want to use, and you don't have to do it on the front, you can stamp on the inside. So before we start making the card, let's go over a couple of things where these items you can find in the catalog. So in the holiday catalog, page 15, is the Poinsettia Place suite, and I'm using the Poinsettia Place Designer Series paper, and we're using, this is the poinsettia paper that I die cut one of the flowers with a circle. So that's a tip. If you don't want to buy the stamps and the dies, but you really like some of the paper, that's a way to do it. You can cut it in a circle, in a square. You can go in and fussy cut that flower out. So that's just a tip for you, if just a way to use paper but not having all of the other tools necessarily. We're also using this paper from this kit, and then here are those beautiful beaded pearls. And you get 18 of them for $8. So those are in the holiday catalog. And then from the annual catalog, the Beautiful Boughs die set that we are using, this large bough in a different card from this kit, from this class kit. For this card we're using the pine cones. So there's a top layer and a bottom layer for each of the 2 sizes. And then the bow happens to come from yet another die set, and that's the Wreath Builder die set. Has this bow right here, and we are actually going to use the wreath dies in another card in this kit, in this class. So that's what we're using, and the Wreath Builder dies are on page 173 of the annual catalog, and the pine cones from the Beautiful Boughs die set, that's on page 180. All right, so let's start putting this together. So this piece of designer series paper, and even the wood grain is really pretty too, but I really wanted to bring out some red to kind of tie in with that bow. So we're just going to go ahead and glue this together and You should have the same size border all the way around, or at least pretty close. And then we can go ahead and glue this in the inside of the card. But just before we do this, let's make sure we've got your card folded on that score line, and always make sure that it actually is flush at the top and bottom, because sometimes even when you score it on those scoreboards, it's not exactly perfect. So just make sure that it's the way you like it and give it a nice crease. And then this piece that we just put together is going to go at the bottom. And so just try to keep your left and right margin or border the same as what's going to be on the bottom. Okay. So just glue that down, and all that's doing is just giving a nice visual interest from the front of the card. And it's fun to have a little something peek through, and then when you open the card, it's nice to have that pattern paper there too. So just a little bit different to cut your card a little shorter on the front. Then we're going to go ahead and put the embossed very vanilla piece on the front. And again, this was embossed with the subtle 3D embossing folder. It's one of my favorites. Try and line up your border all the way around. See, it just, I mean, that just makes such a difference on the front of that card versus it just being plain. So that's just a nice tip. If you're ever doing a card and you go, this card needs something. Usually my go-to is it needs ribbon or it needs bling, but that's another option. Put some adhesive on the back and then try and get this on there as close as possible to being even. It's good enough. Excuse me. And when I cut this circle one for myself, I kind of made a little boo-boo. And so I'm going to hide that boo-boo with my pine cones. So let's put our pine cones together. Oh, it's so pretty. So the top I die cut out of, oh, it looks like I've got a couple pieces. You might have a few pieces to poke out. With the shimmer paper, I'm not sure exactly what they call the paper, and I'm not sure if it was in the annual catalog or the holiday catalog, but it is the metallic cardstock. I think you get 6 sheets. There's gold, copper, and bronze, I think, are the 3 colors. So this is, I at one point was thinking I was just going to use the top, and then I thought, nah, it needs the base as well. So I did die cut the base out of the same soft suede cardstock. So what I'm going to do is just put, so this bow is going to kind of come in on the top of the 2 pine cones. So instead of getting too crazy with trying to figure out adhesive, I'm going to just go ahead and put a couple of glue dots, and I'm not going to worry if they poke through or if they show through. I'm going to put a couple glue dots right up at the top. If you just went with one, you could end up getting a little bit of movement in your the top of your pine cone, and that's okay too. I'm not too worried about it having to be perfectly lined up or not. And like I said, I'm not worried about any of that glue dot poking through, because I am going to cover the majority of it up with this bow when I get the 2 together. For this guy, I'll probably just use 1 glue dot for this smaller one. So put that up right near the top. This guy has 1 more little one to poke through. There we go. Ah, so pretty. I just love it. Love, love, love it. There we go. All right, I think we're ready to start putting this together. Now do I want to pop this up or do it flat? That can be your choice. So totally up to you whether you pop it up or do it flat. I think I'm gonna do it flat just because I've got a lot of thickness with that beautiful pearl beaded center that I'm gonna add. Now remember, where's my little boo-boos? Right there. We'll keep that over here where I'm gonna put the pine cones. Okay, so I've got that down. Now I'm gonna put my pine cones down. And I think for all of these, I'm just gonna do everything flat. So see, no more boo-boo. Amazing. Amazing how you can just fix up those little mistakes. So my little pine cones, they're so cute. Ooh, I love those pine cones. A little bit of glue on my workspace here. And then this bow is going to tuck in right there. So I think I'll go with a glue dot in the center. I just feel like a glue dot makes me feel like it's going to stay there better. And then I can add a little bit of the liquid glue to some other parts of this bow. Fabulous. This is so cute. And I just hold it. And then I hadn't really thought about how I'm going to put this down, but I think glue dots should be just fine. And I'm going to go with 3 because I think I'm going to need them. It's a little bit heavy. It's got a little bit of weight to it. Obviously, you have yours, so you can feel that. Maybe I'll only need 2. Three might be a little much. Okay. And then just kind of get it in on the angle that mostly is covering up those flowers that were already there in the center. They're the stamen that was in the center. Oh, there it is. I always lose those little top sheets. That or they're sticking to me. Okay, so there is that card. Beautiful. If you have a word stamp or something that you want to put there, I'm going to take this piece. Now I had this one from my sheet, and you might have something different. This one's Tidings of Comfort and Joy. That's really pretty too. You could put that right across the top like that. But I'm going to use this one, Peace, Love, and Joy, and you could put it right like that, but I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to cut this into 3 pieces and have it go down the card. So I'm going to go peace. I'm going to cut off after peace. And then the question is, do I want love and, or do I want love and then and joy? I think I'm going to go, it really doesn't matter, right? I shouldn't be that picky. I'm going to go love, peace, love, and joy. How cute is that? I think it's pretty cute. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'm going to just use some adhesive because these are pretty thin little pieces. I mean, I'm going to use liquid glue because these are pretty thin pieces that my adhesive is. I'll try and get those a little bit straight if I can, although even when they're not straight, it's cute too, you know, like you could just peace, love, and joy, right? So you could do it like that as well. But I will go with straight for this one. are relatively straight. It would help too if I used a piece of tweezers. But the one thing about the liquid glue is it does give you a little bit of time to move it into place. There. And then I'm all done. So there's your card. It's got a nice center inside, a little bit different, and I think it's super pretty. Thank you.